the vocals were not vocaling or vocalizing. But the pen game? Please drink water, it's hot outside, and while you're at it, get some snacks, get comfy. We're going to be here for a minute. Alright, I'm entering dangerous territory here. Swifties are no joke, and I like Taylor's music, but I don't know if I would consider myself a Swiftie. But maybe I am? What even is a Swiftie? Serious question, because I listen to her music, but I don't have any physical media of hers. Does that make me not a Swiftie because I haven't been to a single concert of hers or bought any merch? It's not like I haven't tried. I don't know, but I'm going to try to be as unbiased and fair as possible. Anyway, let's just start so that we're not here forever, because this is one long ass album. Well, it's really two albums. The Tortured Poets Department and the Anthology. Reminds me of Nelly's Sweatsuit from 2005, the year I graduated high school. Yeah, I'm showing my age. Nothing I'm embarrassed about. So we're going to be going track by track. For Taylor's album, obviously, not Nelly's. Track 1, Fortnight. Let's discuss both the video and the lyrics simultaneously. The title itself is telling. I think she meant it in a literal sense, as in a night at a fort. So perhaps she viewed her relationship with Joe, I'm assuming, as solid, but over time it started to feel like a prison. And I hope no one takes this next thing the wrong way, but I didn't realize how handsome Post Malone was until this video. That scene when he's clean-faced, no tattoos, like, wow. Also, how did they do that? Did they just apply makeup on his face, like foundation? I wonder. Comment down below if you know. Anyway, it must be the haircut and the weight loss or muscle gain, but he looks good. Anyway, the video is quite literally the Tortured Poets Department. The beginning scene looks like an upside down asylum. She's given her pill, handcuffs are taking off, and she must go do some writing on her typewriter, no less. This scene where she's wiping on tattoos on her face, I feel was an introduction to Post Malone's scene because they look like his tattoos. Also, I tried to read them. One read always and the other read tired, so always tired. They have so much chemistry in this video, it's insane. If Taylor wasn't dating Kelsey, I would have sworn she and Post were a thing. This part feels like a callback to the Style video from 1989 album, and the rain scene feels like a callback to the Delicate video from Reputation, I believe, which would be around the time she had started dating Joe Alwyn. Now the lyrics. I love you is ruining my life. How dramatic. Sounds like she's talking about Joe. Anyway, the song itself sounds very 80s. Taylor is a late 80s kid, so I'm sure that came naturally for her. On Instagram, she had posted a caption detailing the video has references from one corner of the album to another. So let's try to find those references. Back to the beginning of the video. As previously mentioned, it looked like a Tortured Poets Department for the second track of the album, the title track. Also, she seems to be wearing a wedding dress as she waits for her forget him pill and to be unhandcuffed. I think that's a reference to both Fresh Out of the Slammer, So Long London, and Fortnight, where she says something about taking a miracle move on drug. As I get into discussing the other tracks, it'll make sense. You can always rewind to this part. Swifties already get it though. Nothing concerning Taylor gets past the Swifties.
Also, the dress that she wore to the Grammys is very similar to that dress in that Fortnite video at the very beginning. If you take a closer look at the neckline, very similar. There's also a slit in the dress. She has the same choker on, and then she has gloves. Granted, the gloves that she wore to the Grammys are black and the one in the video are white, but I think she was dropping hints at the Grammys about this video.
So now she goes from wearing a wedding dress to what appears to be a funeral gown, complete with lace gloves from the Victorian era. She did reference the 1830s in I Hate It Here on the anthology. She's mourning the death of a relationship. So, she goes from wiping on face tattoos in a mirror in one scene to no tattoos on her face in the next scene, and she and the love interest, Post Malone, are facing each other as they type while everyone else is facing forward. I interpret that as she mirroring her love interest, or they are mirroring each other, which means there's chemistry, so a reference to The Alchemy. Or it could mean she is losing herself in a relationship. Everything she does is a reaction to the other person. So if the person is pulling away, she's trying to pull him in closer. The tattoos on her face could also mean the relationship changed her, left some scars, because the relationship became like a battlefield of sorts. It also looks like they are dueling here, silent war of words, and then here we see the place in shambles with papers everywhere on fire. I also wonder if this scene was a reference to Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath was an American poet, novelist, and short story writer who was clinically depressed, hence the asylum, even though being clinically depressed doesn't mean you are crazy, but maybe back in her time it was, and she was treated regularly with ECT. The asylum is also a reference to Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. This scene of her running towards her love interest could also be from Fresh Out of the Slammer, where she says, "I'm running back home to you." I wonder if this scene, in addition to it being a callback to Style, is also a reference to The Prophecy in the anthology. She says something in that song, The Prophecy, about being a paperweight in shades of grage. Grage is a cross between beige and gray, and they are both laying on a bunch of paper artfully gathered into the shape of Taylor's profile in this scene. They seem to be wearing black or dark gray overcoats, but your shoes look like they are gray. Can't tell because the video is black and white. This other scene could be a reference to Florida. It rains so much in Florida in the summer, you would think you're in Forks, Washington. Those are the only things I could point out in the video that I think was a reference or metaphor to other parts of the album. If there are more that I missed, please drop them below in the comments. Track 2, The Tortured Poets Department. Another 80s type beat. Had to look up who Dylan Thomas and Patti Smith were. Both romantic poets, if you were wondering. And yeah, I agree, Charlie Puth should be a bigger artist. He is severely underrated. I mean, Taylor's just name dropping anyhow in this song. My boy only breaks his favorite toys. Okay, I don't know this to be true, but with the Barbie movie craze last year, she might have been inspired to write this song, likening her relationship to that of a little boy breaking the toy he plays with the most, she being the toy, and the little boy being her partner.
Okay, I just caught the subtle shade in this one. Telling the grown man he behaves like a boy who toyed with her is a poetic insult.
Perhaps Joe Alwyn. I'm not crazy about the song. I love the melody, but not the lyrics necessarily. Would be a great soundtrack for a movie though. Perhaps Toy Story 5? Just kidding. No one asked for a 5th installment of Toy Story. The 4th was already a stretch. Down Bad. A nice play on words. The song is giving extraterrestrial. Suddenly, Katy Perry, Beyonce, and Ariana Grande come to mind.
Rihanna as well in Sledgehammer.
Also, Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson's Scream. The video concept of that song, by the way, was of them being in a spaceship. Rich people seem to be fascinated with outer space. They don't want to deal with the rest of us peasants down here. Shoot, I would run away to another planet too if I could. Earth is ghetto right now. Back to the title, Down Bad. It has dual meanings. Down here on Earth is bad, so beam me up to space. But also, I'm in a bad place mentally because of this breakup. So Long, London. Even without having heard the song, I knew right away she was talking about Joe. He's from North London, according to Wikipedia, which I know, not a reliable source, but I'm not about to do a deep research on this dude I had never heard about until he started dating Taylor. For what it's worth, IMDb also states that he's from North London. Anyway, in this track, it sounds like Taylor saying she was doing a lot of the emotional labor in this relationship. Dang, she was really heartbroken. 5 songs in, and you're all about Joe, it sounds like. I like the fact that no matter what people say about Taylor, she keeps dating and breaking up because why stay when it's not working out? That's the whole point of dating, to see if you're compatible. And then she writes songs as a form of therapy and then moves on. Everyone deals with breakups differently. At least she doesn't self destruct, as far as we know. And so far, and you may correct me if I'm wrong on this one, Swifties, but we have never seen her get back with an ex. And I love that for her. Those guys are exes for a reason. And I'm sure she might have been at fault too, but why go back and try to make something work that didn't work before? It makes no sense. Next track, But Daddy, I Love Him. Back to her country roots on this one. And it's brilliant. She's reading everyone for filth. The people who comment on who she's dating. I have a strong feeling this one's about her Matthew Healy era. The previous track was So Long London, so she's closing the Joe Alwyn chapter and is moving on, but people have things to say like they always do about her choice of men, unsurprisingly. But it's her choice, as she says. Could we, the public, have opinions on who other people date? Yes. We always will have an opinion because we are human and don't know how to mind our business. But we should keep those opinions to ourselves. She said, I'm having his baby. Psych, I'm not, but look at your faces. It's a gotcha moment. Fresh out the slammer. For my non-American folks, slammer is a slang for jail, prison, and so fresh out of the slammer would mean she has just been released from jail. Wow, she's describing her 6-year-long relationship with Joe as a jail. And the way I interpret it, the lyrics, I'm running back to you, could also mean she's coming back to herself. I know who my first call will be to. So that will be her diary, her guitar, her songwriting, or to another relationship where she will be appreciated. Perhaps she lost herself in the relationship, as previously stated at the beginning of this video, and I would say so too. I don't know Taylor, but she seemed to shrink herself for this guy. She kept a low profile. We, the public, did not even know her boyfriend's name for like 3 years. I mean, she seemed to be going to great lengths to protect her relationship, as she should, perhaps because he wasn't used to all the flashing lights. But I mean, you should know what you're getting yourself into dating a celebrity of that caliber. We've seen this before, haven't we? Whitney and Bobby. Whitney was obviously the bigger star, but was concerned with her man's ego. Also, Megan Good and Devon Franklin, I think she was trying so hard to fit into the preacher's wife box, but that's just not who she was, in my opinion. Now back to Taylor. This could probably explain why the album cover is black, white, and gray. All the color must have been drained out of her life towards the end of that relationship. But then she starts to get back that color beginning in Florida, the next track. As a former resident of Florida for nearly a decade, I can state conclusively that absolutely no lies are told in this song. I moved back to Pennsylvania from Florida almost 3 years ago, and I miss Florida every single day. Sidebar, I have to mention this because the opportunity has presented itself. A friend of mine whom I went to college with, she had mentioned to me back in like 2007, before Taylor was this mega star. Taylor was huge in 2007, but I think she was more niche than she is now. Anyway, this friend of mine had mentioned to me when we were in college that she had gone to the same high school as Taylor, which is Reading High, I believe. My friend, of course, is from Reading, and I've been to her house several times. Philly to Reading is only an hour and a half drive. So anyway, Taylor was her younger brother's classmate, but I don't think they ran in the same circles. Now that always had me wondering, what if they had ran in the same circles or was friendly with Taylor? Anyway, I moved back to Pennsylvania from Florida because I had to, for a fresh start, not because I wanted to. And while I am thankful to have a great relationship with my mom to where I was able to come back home, and it is nice to be around family and not have to pay rent, I would move back to Florida in a heartbeat. Now, I will say I am not a fan of the thunderstorms and the hurricanes and the tornadoes in Florida, but I mean, we are starting to get the same type of weather up here in Pennsylvania anyway. Also, I am not a fan of some of the politics down there, but I mean, there's problems right here in Pennsylvania too. Gun violence is out of control in Philly. Nowhere is perfect, but there's a perfect place for me, and that'll be Florida. Anyway, Taylor's free of her cage of a relationship and goes to Florida, perhaps not literally, but figuratively. Though she talks timeshares and heat and hurricanes, everything basically Florida is known for on the surface. People typically go to Florida on vacation, to retire, or to work, for Disney specifically, which is a form of escapism if I'm being honest. Watch my I Quit Disney videos to understand what I mean. And so I think Taylor's saying that after this long relationship that did not go anywhere, meaning marriage, she has escaped. This breakup happened around the time she was embarking on her Eras tour, so she couldn't exactly retire. Perhaps Matt Healy was her escape. The Rebound, just my opinion, don't crucify me. This is my favorite track on the album so far.
Editing Yaya here. So my only critique of the song is that Florence and the Machine is singing some parts of the verse in a whispered tone, and I don't know why that got under my skin. It's a rock adjacent song. Belt it out.
Guilty as sin. My bed sheets are ablaze. I screamed his name. Girl, that rebound sex must be good. Or perhaps she's fantasizing about a new guy. He sent me Downtown Lights by the Blue Nile. After keeping a low profile, she's ready to be back out and about like she used to be with this new guy, but there's uncertainty. It's clear in the lyric, what if he's written mine on my upper thigh only in my mind? Classic case of he loves me not. The one-sided affair. Or she's worried about judgment, which is evident in the lyric, what if I roll the stone away? You're gonna crucify me anyway. This could equally be about Joe Alwyn. People are going to judge her for leaving a 6-year-long relationship high and dry. There's always a roller coaster of emotions when you break up and then you come to your senses and realize if he wanted to, he would've. This isn't supposed to be confusing. This track was difficult for me to analyze. I may be completely wrong on my analysis, but we move on to the next track. Who's Afraid of Little Old Me? My second favorite on the album. She's addressing us again. Tabloids, people online, just people with opinions about her life, the bullies, the business. Yup, most people won't be able to handle the fame, the lights, the slander. It really is an asylum. I can fix him. No, really, I can. I sensed the sarcasm even before I listened to the song. I really like this one as well. It's a bit dark, a bit dangerous, a bit devilishly clever. Might also be about Matt Healy. LOML, love of my life. Just when I thought she was done with songs about Joe. Or maybe in this song she's addressing us again, the public. We the public tend to fall in and out of love with certain people or celebrities, quickly including herself. 1 minute we're praising her, and the next we are throwing stones because familiarity breeds contempt. I can do it with a broken heart. Now it seems we're getting into the Eras tour after Matt Healy, just before Travis. She had to go on tour, and she made history last summer after a heartbreak. Even the song is upbeat, it's hopeful, lights, camera, bitch, smile. Even when you want to die, that's the quote of the year for me. He said he loved me all his life. Didn't Travis say somewhere that he had had a crush on her for a while? Correct me if I'm wrong. This lyric could also be a reference to the ex, because she says something about being obsessed with the guy, but he avoids her like the plague. Yeah, you can be heartbroken and all, but the show must go on, and that's business for you. Another one of my favorites. It sounds K-pop-ish. The very end there is very Olivia Rodrigo. She talks at the end of a few of her songs. Don't come for me now in the comments. I'm not comparing both artists. That part just reminded me of Get Him Back and So American.
You know you're love me and hate me at the same time. I got him good. I got him really good.
Anyway, this is the most relatable song to me. I may not be a performer, but this applies when I go to work. Fake it even though I want to die. Not literally, of course, but that job is a slow death to my soul. Enough about this before people from work watch this and report me to the higher ups. Because I know for a fact they be watching, but hey, more engagement for me. Anyway, back to the song. It's giving 1989 New Romantics, which has to be one of my favorite songs on that album. The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. Yo, she is relentless on his ass. The most poetic roasts ever. Some may argue that she's not a poet, but I think her roasts are poetic. Don't break a fire sign's heart. You will never hear the end of it. The Alchemy, Touchdown, Warm the Benches, Trophy, Greatest in the League, lots of football references. This one has to be about Travis. It's a double entendre, really, about Travis and her coming back into the spotlight big time, both with the Eras Tour and a very public relationship. Clara Bow. Had to look up who that was. She was considered the it girl actress in the 1920s. Taylor also name-dropped Stevie Nicks as well. I hear Stevie Nicks and immediately think of Edge of 17, which Destiny's Child had sampled for their song Bootylicious. Anyway, what a poetic way to pay homage to those before her while also making commentary on beauty standards. I'm glad she did not go for an obvious it girl like Marilyn Monroe. The Black Dog, which was supposed to be a bonus track. Okay, so the vocals are not the strongest in this one, but I can feel her pain. Okay, wow, so she rightfully titled this album The Tortured Poets Department because that was a lot. So now, moving on to the anthology, which is a collection of short stories and poems in layman's terms. I'm gonna get you back. It's like deja vu. I've heard this one before on Olivia Rodrigo's Get Him Back. I promise I'm not comparing them or pitting them against each other. Two different artists, and we know who inspired who, and I enjoy both of their music. But I like Olivia's version better. Not that it's a competition, but the titles and themes of both songs are essentially the same. She wants her ex back, and at the same time wants to make him pay for wasting her time and the pain he's caused her. This sounds like it could easily have been on Reputation. The Albatross. I like this one. It's this album's version of Anti-Hero, some might say, because albatross means a continuing problem, but it also means a seabird that is a symbol of mystery and fortune. Describes Taylor, the artist, the brand, perfectly. We do not know Taylor, the person, no matter how relatable she seems. We do not know this woman. Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. I'm not crazy about this song and can't figure out why that is the song title when it's mentioned only once in the song. She should have called the song Cold Cold Heart. And then Dua Lipa and Sir Elton John would sue her. How does it end? It's giving soundtrack of a summer romantic indie movie, except this isn't romantic. She's addressing us again, the public. You know, the gossip and the theories about how and why her 6-year-long relationship ended. But it's a vibe, and I like a lot. It's beautifully written, very stripped down, just her and her piano. So high school. I just like how I was expecting the song to be about petty people, and it ended up being about Travis, it seems. It's giving 2000s rom-com, which is just as well because their story, hers and Travis's, is definitely what we see portrayed in movies as the high school fairy tale relationship. Handsome football player goes out with popular girl who used to be the underdog. She did say, "You know how to ball, I know Aristotle." Dead giveaway. Now, to be fair, I didn't know who this dude was until she started dating him, but that's just because I am not into football. Also, it's worth mentioning that she referenced American Pie, of which there are 9 installments. I thought there were only 3. That was peak 2000s, and I watched 0 of them. Haven't watched Harold and Kumar either, or The Hangover. I just could not get into that type of comedy in high school. I'm assuming Bridesmaids and Bad Moms is the same type of humor, and I liked those movies. Anyway, this song appeals to the hopeless romantic in me. Taylor seems to be one as well, a hopeless romantic, never giving up on love until she finds the one. Hopefully it's Travis. Moving on to I Hate It Here. Girl, same here. It sounds like she's venting about how exhausting dating can be because she mentions wishing to go back to the 1830s without the racism and be married off to the highest bidder. Girl, same here, except racism still exists in 2024. Anyway, as a child, I felt the exact opposite about being married off. It sounded very tragic, especially because the man was usually way older than his new bride. Now it doesn't sound so bad. An arranged marriage, that is. Arranged marriages are still a thing in Africa, where I'm from.
Alright, let me just say this before somebody comes in my comment section. I do not agree or endorse arranged marriages that involve children. Even as an adult, it's kind of tricky, but it's important to remember that it is a cultural thing.
Taylor could equally be addressing the chaotic state of affairs in the US and globally in general, which some people may argue that she is a billionaire. She doesn't get to hate it here as she boards her private jet. Anyway, this is my anthem in regards to my job. I don't think I've felt this strongly about a job before. Perhaps it's the combination of me just being overdoing repetitive things that are unnecessary just to get paid, the fact that I can't job hop because of the state of affairs right now, and the fact that I'm trying to be rid of this debt quickly, so I have to be disciplined, which means I don't get to just walk out of the job, something I think about doing every single day for real. No 2-week notice, just the deuces, or the middle finger. Taylor really is in her indie bag with some of these tracks. Thank you, Amy. Well, I certainly wouldn't have known this song was about Kim Kardashian if I hadn't seen the discussion, the discourse, the debate make its rounds on the internet. I guess the way the title is written should be a clue, an Easter egg. I just would have thought she was talking about a bully named Amy, which now makes me wonder who Cassandra, Chloe, Sam, Sophia, Marcus, and Robin are. Anyway, Kim and Kanye did bully Taylor. I did not even know any of this was happening in 2016. I was having my own man crisis in 2016.
I mean, I had heard rumblings. I wasn't completely oblivious, but I don't think I cared that much, and I still don't. I have my own problems.
It wasn't until Reputation and then Miss Americana that I understood what was going on. Look how the mighty have fallen. Taylor was always a superstar, as previously stated, but now she's a megastar, an icon on top of the world and bigger than them. Bronze statue is the perfect description because for years people have put Kim and her looks on a pedestal like a statue. Also, that could be in reference to the amount of work she has had done on her body, the same way a statue is sculpted. Taylor got Kim all the way together in this song. All the time you were throwing punches and it was all for nothing. Kim inserted herself into the Taylor and Kanye beef and then turned around and divorced Kanye. And now she isn't even as relevant anymore. She just got booed at that live roast on Netflix. She looked like she was about to pass out at the Met Gala with that tight dress on. Just a whole mess. Now, I'm sure Kim still has supporters, but the vast majority of people are sick of Kim and her family. People are sick of celebrities and influencers, period. Another thing I just thought about. You guys remember how Kim had Ice Spice over to play with North? and now Ice Spice is best friends with Taylor. I wonder if that was an underhanded diss towards Kim. So Ice Spice is now a pawn in this beef. Just a theory, I don't know. I just brought it up because of this lyric. And one day your kid comes home singing a song that only us two is gonna know is about you. Funny how the song mirrors Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire and The Grudge. Interesting. Again, I am not comparing both of them. I like them both. I look in people's windows. Could she mean she follows a lot of Swifties or Taylor Swift haters online and is in their group chats anonymously? The Prophecy. I fucking love this song. It is beautifully written, and you know I'm a sucker for a good indie song. And this is just so relatable. I remember watching a lot of tarot card reading back in 2022. I have long since stopped, but I was really obsessed with it back in 2022 into early 2023. Cassandra. Why does this song feel like it belongs on Folklore or Evermore? The way she plays the chords on the piano reminds me of Cardigan. It is somber and yet playful and theatrical almost. I really like this one. I'm trying to figure out what feud she's addressing in this one. Perhaps the one with Scooter Braun? Just a wild guess, based on some context clues. She mentions greed and payroll. Let me know in the comments what you think.
Could also be her feud with Kim and Kanye. The lyrics do read, "So they filled my cell with snakes. The family, the pure greed. Blood's thick but nothing like a payroll."
Also, it doesn't have to be about her. She did mention in an interview in 2020 after Folklore and Evermore dropped that she knew continually writing autobiographical songs was not sustainable from a mental health standpoint and also creatively. And the lockdown was the perfect time to explore that since we were all relegated to the inside. This album feels like a combination of most, if not all, of her albums. Peter. I'm guessing she's talking about childhood on this one because she's referencing Peter Pan, I think, the boy who never grows up. This is very elegant. Now I need to watch Peter Pan. I'm familiar with him, of course. I worked for Disney, but I've never watched the movie. The Bolter. Again, sounds like she's crafting a story based on what people say about her and adding her own spice to it. Being a bolter isn't necessarily a bad thing. It simply means when you know it's over, like in a relationship, you take off immediately instead of dragging on something that is never going to work. Robin. Snooze fest, I have to say. I'm not even going to try to figure out the scenario in this song. The Manuscript. Sounds like it could be the soundtrack of a movie trailer. What a brilliant way to wrap up the album. Yeah, once you write something and publish it or create music and put it out into the world, it's not yours anymore. People will pick it apart how they want to, and you can't do anything about it. And she acknowledges that. Okay, now my thoughts on the project as a whole. I like the album just fine. Like I said, my standout songs are Who's Afraid of Little Ol' Me, Florida, I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, So High School, How Did It End, The Prophecy, and Cassandra. However, I feel like the project was a bit rushed and too long and not a casual listen. I mean, I had to listen to the songs on YouTube while reading the lyrics and trying to interpret what she really means or who she's talking about, which isn't a bad thing. But for 31 songs, too much. Just my opinion. I know she mentioned on Instagram writing some of these songs over a 2-year period and wanted to share. So clearly not something she threw together yesterday, obviously. I'm just saying some of the tracks should not have made the cut. Robin, Clara Bow, I Look in People's Windows, Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, and Peter should have been on a deluxe or something. That being said, I will give the album a solid 7 out of 10. And I can see myself purchasing the vinyl. I'm not saying that I'm going to purchase it anytime soon. Vinyls are expensive as hell and the inflation is inflationing. I am just saying I can see myself purchasing it. If you stay till the end of the video, drop a guitar emoji in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this, even though I am sure I offended some people. I still like Taylor. Don't know her, but she looks like the type of person I would get along with, and that's part of her appeal. I have my review of Dua Lipa's Radical Optimism coming up, as well as Billie Eilish's new album. So subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell. Like I said, I don't have an uploading schedule. I just upload whenever the time allows. Also, the extended version of this video you're watching is on Patreon because I definitely cut some stuff out because the video was running too long and I was ranting a lot. So the link to my Patreon is below if you're interested in watching the long version. And I will see you soon.